Yeah, they had some great spars. Great spars. They were tough spars. Tough 4 rounds. They went to war basically for the 4 rounds. 4 rounds that Moses was in, it was like a war.
Andy Lee revealed the truth. Joseph Parker dominated Itauma in sparring, proving there's levels in this game. Parker's experience and composure completely exposed Moses. When your own trainer admits the gap is that wide, it's clear Parker is still a force while Itauma has a long road ahead.
I think he's got one more roll of the dice in him, and I think he's been playing himself down a little bit and enjoying being, overlooked a little bit.
And Derek Chisora quickly stepped in with his own take on sparring knockdowns. Derek Chisora tried to soften the blow, saying sparring knockdowns are part of learning. But let's be honest, getting floored by Joseph Parker highlights the gulf in class. Chisora may call it learning on the job, but the optics remain damaging for Moses against a proven world-level operator.
Because that's only sparring. If you get dropped in sparring, means you're learning. Tomorrow morning you don't get dropped in the same shot. So him getting dropped in sparring, that means he's learning on the job. So it's okay. Who cares? Alexander used to get dropped in sparring, but he's learning on the job.
Chisora acknowledged Moses' unbeaten record, but kept it blunt. Experience matters. 12 wins on paper don't erase the lesson Parker handed him in sparring. Dylan is old school and battle-tested, while Moses still has everything to prove. Numbers don't mean much until you beat genuine top-level fighters.
Moses got 12 wins, with coming by as a fighter, This guy's got a bit of experience, so they give him Dylan. Let's see what happens.
And then Shannon Briggs chimed in, adding his own perspective on Moses getting dropped. Shannon Briggs brushed it off as part of the game, but the fact remains, word is spreading that Moses keeps getting dropped. For a rising star, that's not a good look. Briggs called it okay, yet Parker's domination in sparring makes those slips look like serious cracks.
I'm hearing things that he'd been dropped in the ring, in the gym and stuff like that, but that's okay too, because I took a couple spills, little slips in the ring, in the gym. That's okay, but we're going to see. This is going to be a good fight.
Frank Warren kept it simple. He just wants Moses to show his skills, but the problem is clear. In sparring with Parker, those skills vanished. Against world-level opponents, explosive starts mean little if you lack composure. Warren's words sound supportive, but deep down, he knows Parker exposed serious flaws.
No, I want to see him do what he does. And if he can get rid of somebody in 30 seconds, he does it. I want him to use all his skills to the best of his ability and whatever it takes to win. That's what I want to see from any fighter.
And soon after, Lawrence Okoli added his thoughts on sparring tactics with Moses. Lawrence Okoli hinted at something telling Moses is awkward but not impossible to figure out. He admitted trying specific tactics, yet still suggested there's a different way to deal with him that sounds less like praise and more like code for he's beatable. And that's the truth. If a fighter like Okoli, still active and sharp, already sees tactical gaps, then Parker exploiting them in sparring makes perfect sense. Sparring isn't just about toughness, it's about what patterns show under pressure. Moses was figured out, plain and simple. Okoli's words expose what Parker proved. Moses might be a handful for a round or two, but elite fighters see through him. Parker already did.
When you sparred him, did you implement dog-style tactics to counter what he brought?
I tried, I definitely did. But he's a tough guy as well, so I think there's a different way to approach a Moses, I think, but that's not for me to say here.
Moses' response was classic damage control. I'm not paying attention to the noise, but make no mistake, the noise is deafening. When word gets out that Parker battered you in sparring, you can't just shrug it off. His answer sounded like a young fighter trying to protect his pride. Boxing history shows us, champions thrive on pressure. Pretenders dismiss it. Usyk, Fury, Joshua, they embrace the spotlight. Moses is ducking it, claiming he just wants to do his job. That's not what fans want to hear from a supposed generational talent. Parker exposed him behind closed doors, and now the world knows. Moses' cool words can't hide the fact that cracks are showing, and Parker's dominance started the conversation.
I'm not really paying attention to main events. I'm not really paying attention to people talking, the noise and whatnot. I'm just going in there and doing my job.
And then Carol Itauma stepped in to defend his brother's mentality. Moses' response was classic damage control. I'm not paying attention to the noise, but make no mistake, the noise is deafening. When word gets out that Parker battered you in sparring, you can't just shrug it off. His answer sounded like a young fighter trying to protect his pride. Boxing history shows us champions thrive on pressure, pretenders dismiss it. Usyk, Fury, Joshua, they embrace the spotlight. Moses is ducking it, claiming he just wants to do his job. That's not what fans want to hear from a supposed generational talent. Parker exposed him behind closed doors, and now the world knows. Moses' cool words can't hide the fact that cracks are showing, and Parker's dominance started the conversation.
No, he hasn't changed. And when you just take your time to really listen to him and kind of understand that it's not about the end goal for him, it's about the journey, not being outcome obsessed. It's about him taking it easy as it comes, learning, progressing, and really dialing in on those minor things, because at the end of the day, those are the things that actually add up and make the bigger picture. And he's taking it in his own stride. We all know that he's mature.
Hamza, Shearer's highlighted the paradox of Moses Itauma. Yes, he's explosive early and carries dangerous power. Flattening someone within 4 rounds isn't unrealistic, but the second half of Shearer's analysis is what matters. If the fight goes beyond those early rounds, doubts creep in, and that's where Parker's sparring lesson becomes significant. Parker didn't just beat Moses with power, he beat him with experience, patience, and control. If Itauma can't finish fights early, his flaws show. And that's exactly what sparring revealed. Shearers didn't outright dismiss Moses, but he acknowledged what insiders already know. His stamina, his adjustments, his mental toughness, all remain untested. Parker has already tested them behind closed doors, and the results wasn't flattering for Moses. That's why Shearers' comments, while neutral on the surface, reinforce the story. Parker has the tools to break him down.
2 ways. Moses flattens him out within 4 rounds. If it goes after past four, I feel like it could get a little bit tasty. I don't know what will happen. I'm not leaning towards any other fighter, but before 4, I got Moses to flatten him out. But after 4, it could be a very interesting fight.
And Buddy McGirt took it further, stressing how deep waters separate the prospects from the proven. Buddy McGirt spoke like a seasoned trainer. The truth lies in the deep waters. Early fireworks can fool the crowd, but the second half of a fight shows the truth. And that's exactly where Moses struggles, against Joseph Parker in sparring. Itauma wasn't dragged into deep waters by rounds. He was drowned by class. McGirt's words emphasize what Parker already proved. Once the adrenaline fades and the basics are tested, Moses falters. If you can't handle sparring pace without slipping, how do you cope with 12 rounds under the lights? Parker is built for deep waters. He's been there with Joshua, Ruiz, White, Joyce. Moses is still learning how to swim. McGirt's blunt truth exposes the gap. You don't beat seasoned champions with early flurries. You beat them with depth, composure, and layers. And Moses hasn't shown that yet.
Yeah, it's got to go to the deep waters. Unless somebody slips up and get caught early. But, we gotta get him into the deep waters. That's the key.
Ben Davison went all in, calling Moses a generational talent. Strong words, but here's the issue. Potential doesn't erase reality. Parker already showed in sparring that Moses isn't ready for top-level punishment. Davison is right. Itauma might one day prove himself, but right now, the gulf between hype and delivery is enormous. Calling him plenty good enough ignores the sparring tape. Generational talents don't crumble under pressure in the gym. They rise. Usyk, Canelo, Fury. Their gym stories are about domination, not exposure. Moses' story now carries the shadow of Parker knocking him out. That's not the reputation you want when being called generational. Davison's words are protective optimism, but the boxing world runs on results, not prediction. And the result of that sparring session is a permanent mark against Itauma's rising stock.
I don't think Moses needs to catch anybody at a certain point in their career or anything like that.
Why is that?
Because I think he's good enough. I think he's plenty good enough. I think he's a generational talent, and I think it's going to take time for everybody to see that. but I think everybody can see that he has the...
And then came the raw truth. Someone predicting what happens when Moses gets cracked for real. This blunt assessment cuts to the core. What happens when Moses gets cracked? Everyone has power until they're hit back. And in sparring with Parker, we already saw the answer. Itauma, the speaker, predicted his head would be spinning, and that's not hypothetical. It's already been witnessed. That's the danger of hype. It builds until a single shot shatters the illusion. Itauma might look sharp for a round or two, but champions don't just survive the early fire, they thrive when it comes back their way. Parker proved in training that Moses can't handle that storm. Fans might ask, what happens when he's really cracked in a fight? The truth is, sparring already gave us a preview, and it wasn't flattering. This isn't speculation anymore. Parker exposed the blueprint.
First time he gets cracked, it's gonna, I guarantee you, his head's gonna be like, oh shit.
It's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
How many rounds is it?
I think it's 8.
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn brought it all back to Parker's name, and that's fitting. The canceled fight only adds more weight to Parker's sparring triumph over Moses. Hearn called it a good time and gave Dillian White a chance, but his comments underlined something bigger. Parker is still a live threat at heavyweight, and that's why Itauma's struggles against him matter so much. If Parker is still good enough to be in these conversations, then losing badly to him in sparring isn't a small slip, it's a giant red flag. Hearn's insight showed Parker remains dangerous despite inactivity. Moses, meanwhile, is exposed before even hitting world level. The juxtaposition is clear. Parker is still relevant, still sharp, and still respected, while Itauma's name is now tied to being knocked out in a gym war. That's the true fallout of this story.
I think I'll give Dubois a shot in that fight. It's a good time. I mean, a little bit of inactivity because of the fight falling through against Joseph Parker, but you know, it's exciting, and I think definitely
The headlines say it all. Joseph Parker knocked out Moses Itauma in sparring, and Andy Lee himself confirmed it. That single moment has flipped the conversation on its head. Sparring is meant to be behind closed doors, but when a world-class fighter like Parker schools a rising prospect, it sends shockwaves. For Parker, it proves he's still very much alive in the heavyweight mix. People forget he shared the ring with Joshua, White, Ruiz, Joyce. He's tested at the highest level. If he's doing that to Moses in the gym, then he's still dangerous in real fights. For Moses, though, the damage is reputational. Fans now question whether the hype is moving too fast. Getting sparked in sparring isn't the end of a career, but it's a brutal reminder that he's not ready for elite waters just yet. So here's the question. Does this setback humble Moses and make him better, or does it expose him as another overhyped prospect? Parker has already shown us the gap in class. Over to you. Are you backing Joseph Parker to rise again, or do you believe Moses Itauma can recover from this knockout shock? Drop your thoughts below.